Let's get into these main topics now. And the first one that we're going to start with, I just seen last night. I feel like it must have happened over the last day or so because now the footage is out. Charleston White pulls a gun on, I believe his name is DJU. I assume that he's a podcaster or an interviewer from Chicago, but that's the name of the channel, DJU TV. They just dropped this interview. I watched it twice. I have a bunch of takeaways. The first part that I'm going to get into is the rights, I guess, the reasons why I can understand what happened from Charleston White's standpoint. And then in the second half of this, I'm going to talk about all the wrongs and why I disagree highly, of course, with what happened as it pertains to Charleston White. Charleston White, Charleston White, Charleston White. He remains an internet sensation, one of the most sought after people to book for interviews. He delivers some of the most interesting perspectives on, of course, the hip hop world. He targets a lot of things that he feels that don't align with society's and especially Black culture's progression. That's why he goes after Black hip hop artists a lot, because he feels and there's a lot of truth in this perspective, but he feels like, that the average Black or the average rapper, degrades, people, preaches negativity, things like murder in their lyrics, things like, rape in their lyrics. Like when we have some of these rappers talk about I slip XYZ in the woman's drink, or what, that's a form of, they call that date rape, right? So it's rape. I mean, so there's a lot of things that Charleston White goes after where it's just like, nah, it's true. And, we don't say this stuff. And we do have a lot of hypocritical ways in hip hop. We protect murderers. We protect people for being wrong. Somebody could go out there and take somebody's life unjustly, and they'll be sitting in jail fighting the case, and we'll all wish them home. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a lot of hypocrisy when you're just talking about the bare minimum of right and wrong. What's right and what's wrong. And he has no problem attacking that. He goes after it sometimes in a way that's very disrespectful to others, like the blast radius of some of the things that he says, F this person, F this city, F this, and even things like F this city or fuck this city is a topic within itself, because, me personally, I'm not somebody that gets outraged at somebody trying to diss the street that I grew up on, or the neighborhood I grew up in, or the borough that I'm from, or the city that I'm from. I think that's a very, very limited way of thinking, and I feel like it's just our typical hood ways that we got to break away from. It's a topic within itself. I could really, really go in on why I hate that type of mentality for people, and I feel like it holds you down and it holds you back. You got to get your mind to being worldly and to being realistic as far as what you truly own, and as far as what actually is important to your own progression. But I don't want to go there right now. Here's the reasons why I could understand what happened in that video. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Once again, DJU TV. He's in this interview, at least the footage that came out. And I do see that there's an edit. Okay, there's definitely one or two edits in this footage that came out. So sometimes you never know what happened in between. And it's very, very easy for us to see, a video, jump straight to that, and just only focus on like the very visible facts of an argument and a gun drawn, right? It's very easy to focus on that. I don't think like that. I'm not a typical thinker. And I do peep the edits. A lot of people may not even mention shit like that. Like, I don't know what happened in between the edit of the video there, of the footage that's out. So granted, small little observation there. But on the side of the reasons why I could rock what would happen, right? Or I could possibly understand what happened, I should say. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Is you could tell that the room started to move, and there's obviously other people there that was off camera. You see multiple bodies, and you hear multiple voices come into frame as shit got tense and it kicked up and the gun was drawn by Charleston and all this type of stuff. Like 4 or 5 people start to come on the camera and quiet things down. And from the communications that was going back and forth as they're talking to each other and Charleston screaming, it seems that none of them are with Charleston. It seems that none of them are with them. Let's assume maybe, half of them at least are not with Charleston. So that means that these are strangers. He doesn't know them. They're at the place where he's doing an interview, where he was booked to do an interview. And the reason why I could see that is because even though Charleston was already kind of in his zone of blacking out, like that last moment between him standing up, you see him stop looking at the host where he was directing most of his energy, and he was wigging out, and he looks at the room and he stands up, right? So this is one area that I definitely could understand Charleston White when you look at that perspective there of other people in the room and not knowing what's happening. He's in Chicago. I'm not saying he should be there. I think it's stupid for him to be there. And we'll get to that in the other part of this. But he's in Chicago. And there's other people in the room that he may not know. The room starts to move. There could be people that you never know are anti or disagree with your perspectives or your energy, at least for the moment, towards the host, right? It's a myth, and it's a horrible way for us to think as far as safety. It's a myth. It's a bad perspective. It's stupid hood politics. Nobody would ever train you like this. Nobody would ever instill this with you if you went through proper gun defensive management, so to speak. And that myth is, if you pull your gun, you better use it. We grew up hearing that forever. If you're going to pull your gun, you better use it. How often have we heard that? It's a very, very stupid mentality. Very, very stupid mentality. Let's talk about some of the reasons why. That little hood myth of trying to say that you pussy or you not tough if you pull your gun out and you didn't actually up it and or shoot somebody or attempt to shoot somebody. A gun serves multiple purposes in that particular scenario. It could be used to defend yourself. It could also be used to help you exit. Now, I'm going to say something wrong about that in the second half. Stay with me. There's nothing wrong with using your firearm or your weapon as an exit. Like an example of that is Pooh Shiesty. Now, I don't know what happened, on the stage or whatever, and a shot supposedly went off. I mean, he's sitting in jail for it right now, right? But we saw the footage of when he was exiting and he had his gun while he was walking. While he was walking, was he still shooting at targets? And was he already has his gun ready in case I need to defend myself on my exit. That's what I'm talking about. Like there's nothing wrong with using your firearm or your weapon to create an exit, right? Because the best scenarios in this world is when nobody gets hurt and nobody jeopardizes their freedom. Those are the best outcomes. The best outcome isn't that I had to shoot somebody because I felt threatened or I felt in danger or this person started to move or attack me or whatever. That's not the best outcome. The best outcome is you get home, I get home, I never see you again, you never see me again. The cops ain't knocking on your door and they're not searching for me. That's the best outcome. All right. So if for example, if you're in a room and 10 people come in that dislike you and they're all saying there he is, and they start to move towards you. Now, nobody has any weapons out or anything like that. All you see is everybody's wearing wife beaters. All right, so you can see that there's no weapons on their waist or whatever. I don't know, whatever. I'm just painting some stupid ass scenario so you can get the point, the overall point. All these 10 people start to move towards you. You back out, all right? And everybody backs off. And then because you have your weapon drawn, you then start to move towards the exit and nobody touches you because you have a deadly ass weapon out and present it to all 10 of them. And you are now able to exit, get in your car and go home. And they never lay a finger on you and they all backed off because nobody wanted to get shot. That is a great outcome. That is a great outcome. Anybody that's walking around with this stupid ass mentality of, if you pull it out, you better shoot it, is the first person to put themselves in jail or take a life that may not have had to be taken, or doesn't understand the true defense movements of carrying a firearm or owning a firearm versus growing up under some stupid ass hood mentality. All right. So I say all of that to say, for that perspective of the other people in the room that he may not know, and he's in Chicago and he has this bad reputation within Chicago of supposedly if you come to Chicago, the locals is going to try to kill you, right? But he still takes his ass there, which is stupid. We'll get there. But if you need to draw your weapon to exit because everything got heightened and everybody started to move and you felt threatened, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. That's the only thing I really, really can understand about this video from Charleston White's side. Now, the things that I don't understand. Now, staying on the fact that he drew his weapon, maybe he felt threatened, maybe the room started to move off of camera, which we couldn't see. Okay. One thing that I really don't understand, I don't rock with based on the point that we just made, is he stayed. He continued to stay there and he continued to argue. If you drew your weapon because you felt threatened, exit, leave the situation. Because the danger that you just put yourself in, you showed the whole room that you have a firearm, that you are now a deadly presence. You are now a danger to me and everybody else in the room. You're irate, you're screaming, you're within a conflict. If anybody else, while you're not looking or whatever, hits you, and when I say hit you in any form, shoots you, stabs you, punches you, or whatever, they're gonna be in the right. Of course, it all still shakes out in court. It's going to be a lot of gray at times. People's going to psychoanalyze the footage and all this type of stuff. If you end up with a lawyer, though, that is defending the person that would do something and react to the fact that Charleston White drew a weapon and is arguing and is threatening people in the room or presented a threat, I'm pretty sure a lawyer is going to have a pretty good defense for that. All right. So you staying there and continuing to argue within a tense situation and curse at people and whatnot is ridiculous, is stupid. And as much as Charleston White talks about not being one of these hood guys and being of a certain cloth when it comes to how he handles himself and whatnot or whatever, staying there was one of the biggest no-nos I've ever seen for somebody that draws his weapon in a tense situation. If you're not going to shoot your way out, or if you don't have to shoot somebody, if you don't have to defend yourself at the most extreme level, and you already drew your weapon to create an exit or to actually push a threat back, then you must leave. You can't stay there and continue to argue. There's times in there where he puts the gun down, he sits back down, he gets back up. What's going on in here? What's going on in here? You've already heightened the scenario to its extreme by presenting a deadly force. So I don't like that at all. I think that was one of the stupidest moves ever, to remain there and putting your gun down and sitting down and then grab it again and putting it back in the holster and taking it back out. That's ridiculous. And he talks like he knows better than that. That was horrible. Next, I want to talk about the actual debate that got them there in the first place. I don't take Charleston White as a stupid person. I think he's pretty intelligent, actually. But he's got to be smart enough to know that the messages that he's been carrying, the topics that he's been talking about, the statements that he's been making, he's got to know how controversial he is. He does know. He knows that that's part of the reasons why he's being booked. He's got to know that these podcast hosts and these interviewers, they're coming and they're booking him and they're calling him and they're getting in touch with his management or whatever to discuss certain topics. They want to get you on that platform and say, yo, why did you say F Chicago? Why did you say F King Von or whatever? Like, that's the content. That's the reason why you're being paid, because you're willing to say things that other people will never say. And you're willing and you actually articulate yourself in a way that's logical. Sometimes people are totally on your side with some of the stuff that you say, even if it's disrespectful, because you put it in a perspective that makes people say, I didn't think of it like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of his strengths. And he's a very good talker, and he's a very good debater. That's another thing as well. Like, to see somebody go back and forth with Whack 100 and massacre them in a debate, and Whack is extremely, extremely strong in debate, that shows the debate talent and debate level of Charleston White. Yet you get tossed off of your rocker while talking about King Von's mother and FBG Ducks' mother in front of this interviewer. And I don't understand how he lost his poise like that when he knows what's surrounding him and he knows what he's created and he knows why he's being booked. I don't understand that. I don't understand how he damn near threw himself over his rock. And even during the argument, when he stands up and he's already drawn his weapon or that type of stuff, don't tell me what I can and I can't say. People are gonna debate you. That's some of the best content. If I book Charleston White, you think I would just sit here and want to have a conversation with him about everything that I agree with him about? No, I would challenge him on a lot of stuff, and I would ask him to explain further the things that I disagree with, or maybe the public doesn't, or the general public doesn't agree with. And then you form great content. We get more revelations, more understandings. You say new statements that might go viral, all that type of shit. So I don't even understand why those conversations got him out of pocket like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he kind of exposed himself as not being able to maintain his composure with some of the controversy that he's already created a trail for. If you're gonna walk around saying F Nipsey Hussle, F King Von, I don't care about this dead person, I wish them dead or whatever, stay in the dirt or whatever, piss on your all this wild stuff that you say, then these type of questions are gonna come with it. And you know why you're getting booked if you can't stay composed if somebody challenges you. You know what I'm saying? And not to mention the topic itself was kind of hypocritical because you based the disrespect towards some of these rappers by standing up for their mothers. And that's actually a strong perspective to use in your argument, that these mothers out here that raised these children and had to see their child, because we all know, we say it all the time, right? No parent should have to bury their child. The child is supposed to bury their parent. So the pain of the mothers and the fathers that are losing these kids to violence is a strong plight that you're making for them, as to saying, I hate hip hop for this, or I hate your attitude for that, or I don't fuck with this rapper because of what they did or what they used to portray, or the fact that they really were murderers or whatever. You have a strong case to come out and protect these mothers and protect the innocent. You have a strong case. And then you get up there and you contradict it all by saying, I gave XYZ's mother, a car. No, give me the money back, funky ass. And you start disrespecting them and calling them out their name. And everybody's going to hang on to those words, even if you were trying to make a valid point. And it's just going to come off as being hypocritical. You disrespected all of these artists that people love while sticking up and defending the loved ones and the parents and the mothers that are in pain. And then you totally trash the mothers on camera. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the point that you are making, people don't hang on to the actual intention. They don't. They're going to hang on to the main visuals and the main words that are said. He said, suck my, that's all I know. That's all I'm leaving this interview with. He said, fuck you, bitch. That's all I'm leaving the interview with. That's how it goes. So he just contradicted a lot of his plight in that manner and in that respect. And I think that was stupid. And the last point that I want to make about this interview towards why I don't agree with Charleston White here. I don't understand why he's doing an interview in Chicago in the first place. Well, I'm saying I don't understand, but I feel like most of us get the intent behind it, right? The intent, I'm assuming, is to show that I can go to Chicago, in and out of Chicago when I want. I'm not checking in. Y'all are threatening me, and I'm still there. That seems to be one of the intents. Another reason I'm going to assume is just purely money, right? It looks like a majority of the money that he's earning right now is coming from bookings. I would assume that, and maybe monetization on online, social media platforms, or YouTube or whatever. But bookings. Why else would you put yourself in a place where you feel uncomfortable? Maybe you don't feel that something's going to happen to you. Maybe you don't feel that people's going to have an opportunity to get to you or whatever. But you know that there's a real threat for you in certain places and around certain people. Of course there is. But why make yourself uncomfortable in the first place unless you really, really want to prove a point and or you really want to go pick up that bag? So I feel like those are the things that separates people that are intelligent and headstrong versus the others. And I think that's another thing that Charleston White is showing us by doing that. When Charleston White takes a position of, man, I don't care, F y'all, don't live by y'all rules, that's headstrong. But when you allow yourself to be coaxed into these places to prove something or to pick up a bag, right, you're showing people you're showing people that you have a certain weakness towards your own messages and towards what you'll allow yourself to, the positions you'll allow yourself to be put in, whether it's for a bag or whether it's for a perspective or whether it's to make a point. And I think that within itself is weak. You can't force me to go anywhere where I'm uncomfortable. I don't give a fuck what the narrative is. If you're saying you can't go here, I'm not gonna try to go there to prove a point. I'm like, okay, I can't go there then, or if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. If I have a real huge reason to be there and it ain't gonna be for $1 because my life is worth much more than $1, I don't care what the amount is. But if I don't want to be somewhere, if I'm uncomfortable to be somewhere, I'm not gonna go. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go. And when I say uncomfort, I'm talking about that level of people saying, if you are here and we know you're here and we have the opportunity, we're going to take your life. That's what I'm talking about. If somebody is telling me, yo, hey, or if I feel like there's a million people online saying, if you come to fucking Virginia because you did a battle, you booked a battler from Virginia that lost. If you ever come to Virginia, I'm seeing 1,000 people online saying that if you come to Virginia, we are going to try to take your life. I'm not going to go there to try to prove a point. All right. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. That doesn't detract from you as a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, part of survival, I was having this conversation last week. There's 2 elements to survival, and we overlook the second one a lot. Survival is, one, surviving your surroundings. Surviving your surroundings. You step out into the world, you know what I'm saying? You got cars speeding down the road and you still walk blindly in your cell phone walking across the street. You're not attempting to survive your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? People could try to hurt you. You could, have an accident. Your surroundings needs to be survived, right? The second element is surviving yourself. And I think people overlook that a lot. Surviving yourself, an example of that is like surviving your own decisions. I don't give a fuck if I don't belong at this party. I'm going there to show face. You're not surviving yourself. You're choosing to put yourself in a situation that you know could harm you or could kill you or could, you know what I'm saying? So people mess that up all the time. And I think Charleston White is showing that weakness by taking himself to Chicago to do this, unless he needs the money that badly. You know what I'm saying? So don't prove a point. There's no need to prove a point. All right. Your message is your message, and there's no greater reach than the internet. There's no greater reach. You can carry the same message to the same audience from your living room. That's the world we live in today. So, I didn't really respect that. Overall, I think there's a lot to take from situations like that because this is an internet sensation, guy. So everybody's going to see this. Everybody's going to talk about it. But yeah, not a good look for Charleston.